Hello there and welcome to Verdict 2017. I'm Tracy Shilchi, and in the next 30 minutes I'll be getting you all the updates from the states where elections are on. Of course, a big focus on UP. Let's get you the headlines. Polling concludes for the fourth phase of assembly elections in Uttar Pradesh. Voters in 53 constituencies spread over 12 districts of eastern UP and Bundelkhand region exercised their franchise. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses election rallies in Bareilly and Basti. Rival political parties coin new acronyms to target each other ahead of the fifth phase of elections in UP. And novel methods of spreading awareness on voting in Gorakhpur. Specially abled children educate voters to do their bit for the polling process. That special report ahead, but first, the fourth phase of UP assembly election saw voter turnout of 55% till 4 p.m. on Thursday. A total of 1.84 crore voters exercised their franchise for the 53 constituencies spread over 12 districts. The state's ruling Samajwadi Party is facing a stiff challenge in this phase as well from the BJP and the BSP, covering the entire Bundelkhand region, parts of Awadh and eastern UP as well.
Voting in fourth phase in Uttar Pradesh took place amid tight security on Thursday. Long queues were seen from morning itself as the state voted for 53 constituencies spread over 12 districts. The districts included the backward Bundelkhand region and Rai Bareilly. Other districts where polling was held included Pratapgarh, Kaushambi, Allahabad, Jalon, Jhansi, Lalitpur, Mahoba, Banda, Hamirpur, Chitrakoot and Fatehpur.
We are here at one of the assembly seat, and this is the Mahoba assembly seat, and you can see the large number of voters are here to cast their exercise their franchisee, and we will talk to some voters. ये बताएं भाई साहब किस आधार पे वोट दे रहे हैं आप लोग, क्या सोचकर?
प्रदेश का विकास हो, अच्छी सरकार बने, सबको लाभ हो।
विकास का मुद्दा क्या यहाँ पर सबसे ज्यादा हावी है, ये बताएं।
उत्तर प्रदेश में विकास का मुद्दा बहुत ही हावी है, क्योंकि पिछले 20 साल से यहाँ विकास काफी रुका हुआ है।
Police and security personnel were deployed at every polling booth to ensure free and fair voting. Interstate borders were also sealed. Voters said the lack of basic civil amenities and corruption remained key issues.
जो भी सरकार बने पहले भ्रष्टाचार को दूर करे, रोडें, सड़कें, नल, पानी, बिजली व्यवस्था जो इतनी खराब चल रही है, इधर पे व्यवस्था पूरी अच्छी तरीके से दी जाए।
जो बेसिक मुद्दा हावी है वो है विकास का, क्योंकि पिछले 20 सालों से हमारे प्रदेश में विकास हुआ नहीं।
विकास, बेरोजगारी बड़ी समस्या है, ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों की रोडें बहुत खराब है शहर की।
It was my first time and it feels great, and every citizen of India should vote.
So we want a better India this time, and that is why we've come here to vote.
Prominent candidates including Congress leader Aditya Singh in Rai Bareilly, BSP leader Naseemuddin Siddiqui, UP BJP chief Keshav Prasad Maurya and Union Minister Sadhvi Niranjan Jyoti exercised their franchise in this phase.
I think पूरी उम्मीद है जीत की यहाँ से। पूरा सपोर्ट है, ऑफ कोर्स मेरे पिता हैं, उन्होंने मेरा पूरा सपोर्ट किया है, हर चीज उन्हीं से सीखी है।
यह मैं 2017 के चुनाव में स्पष्ट तौर से देख रहा हूं कि अब की बार 300 पार हम बहुत बड़ी बढ़त के साथ और जनता के आशीर्वाद से आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। आधा चुनाव हमारी पार्टी लड़ रही है, प्रत्याशी लड़ रहा है, लेकिन आधा चुनाव जनता लड़ रही है, और इसलिए हमारी सफलता का एक मुख्य आधार है कि आज गरीब आदमी, किसान, नौजवान, मातृशक्ति हमारे साथ खड़ी।
हम बीजेपी से समर्थन देंगे, न देंगे दूर की बात है। हम बीजेपी की तरफ देखेंगे नहीं, विपक्ष में पूर्ण बहुमत की सरकार है, प्रचंड बहुमत की सरकार आ रही है, हम 300 सीटें जीतेंगे।
Over 1.8 crore voters, including 84 lakh women, are expected to decide the fate of 680 candidates. BJP is contesting 48 out of the 53 seats. It has left 6 seats for its ally Apna Dal. The BSP has fielded its nominees in all segments, while the SP is contesting 30 seats and its ally Congress 25. Voting in Uttar Pradesh is being held in 7 phases. The results will be announced on March 11th.
Voters have sealed the fate of candidates contesting the fourth phase of UP elections. It remains to be seen whether the Samajwadi Party, along with its alliance partner, the Congress, manages to defend its turf, or the BJP repeats its performance of 2014 Lok Sabha elections, or the BSP springs a surprise with its dedicated and loyal voter base. with inputs from Ravindra from Jhansi and Panchalan from Mahoba. From Allahabad with camera person Arvind, I'm Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
Well, for an insight into the significance of the fourth phase and also what's going on, what we'll be expecting in the few phases ahead, we are joined in studio by Aditi Fadnis, who's the political editor with the Business Standard. Aditi, thanks so much as always for being here with us. We also joined on the phone line by Kriti Mishra, who is in Allahabad. Kriti, if I could come to you first. We were talking about how there are still long lines outside, voting stations, and that's in fact a sight we see in all the phases that we are seeing. But this time around, do you see the excitement? There's a change in the mood, at least as far as voters are concerned?
Well, of the students today have voted for the first phase of elections on 53 constituencies, 20% votes are districts, including the Math of Bundelkhand region and the Nehru Gandhi of Raebareli. So far, the eighty candidates have been seen by the voters, and even though voting time ended at around 550 voters in the districts were standing in queues, they would be allowed to cast their votes. So moderate to this polling will be covered across 20% and 30% is expected to transcend the 52% mark. Now, other election commissions endeavors to really motivate the voters to go out in large numbers to vote, that definitely was reflected as far as the communities. Remember, Allahabad has the highest number of constituencies upper grants in UP elections. Definitely, you were motivated. Young voters were motivated, first-time voters were motivated, and specifically women. India, I must say, we are most of the voters on behalf of their fathers, brothers.
All right, I'm sorry, Kriti, but the network there isn't quite clear, and we're not being able to understand clearly what you're trying to tell us. Although, in the previous chats that we had with you, you were, of course, highlighting about the Bundelkhand region, how crucial it is going to be for them to choose the right leader that perhaps is going to lead them to better development or a better future, which is, of course, very crucial for the region. Aditi, if I could come to you, talking about the region itself, you would think development, you would think the migration issue, the starvation, the drought, these are issues that, people would vote upon, but eventually it does just boil down to caste, does it?
Well, no, I wouldn't say that. People do vote on the basis of their material conditions. And Bundelkhand has seen a lot of very unfortunate droughts over the past several years. And cattle is dying, there's no source of clean water, there's no food. People go hungry, thirsty. I mean, the people are living like animals there, and it's really most tragic that despite so much money being poured down into that area, despite so much effort by all governments to develop that area, nothing seems to have worked.
Yes.
So I think whichever government comes to power must concentrate on farmer suicides, on all the terrible things that are happening in Bundelkhand.
And yesterday, Uma Bharti, the BJP leader, in fact, did point out that, if they do come to power in UP, then they would seriously consider, Bundelkhand being separated into a new state. This, of course, is something that we heard other political parties, especially the BSP, in fact, speaking about this. But how perhaps feasible, or for that matter, crucial is it going to be for the next government to think on those terms?
Well, I mean, thinking is one thing, but we have seen that smaller states don't necessarily resolve the problem of development. The difference is so stark between Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand, for instance.
Yes.
All human development indices in Himachal Pradesh, which is a state almost on a par with similar conditions as Uttarakhand, there's a huge gap between the HDI's human development indices in Uttarakhand and Himachal. The development of education in Himachal is such a fantastic experiment that every state actually has to learn from it.
Yes.
Uttarakhand was also formed with the same aspirations that a smaller state will be easier to govern, but unfortunately lack of development in Uttarakhand is so stark that those dreams have not really come true.
All right, and finally, fourth phase pretty much done. There are about two more phases to go. Three, 5, 6, 7, yes, 3 more phases to go. And you know, by this time we pretty much get an assessment of how the campaigning has been going on. Some start losing steam, some of course perhaps get a new punch of vigor and vitality. What we are seeing perhaps with the BJP, you know, change of stance, change of a strategy. We'll come to that in a bit. I believe the Election Commission is out with a press conference. Let's listen into what they're saying.
In the corresponding seat. And, pardon? You see, those numbers don't come at this stage. Yeah. Yeah, and as at 5 p.m., the voter turnout is 61% and counting. Yeah. We hope that it will go to about 63 or something. Now this pre-poll incident which took place, that was at Mahoba, where at about 3 a.m. the cross complaints have been filed against us, that against one another. One complainant is Sid Gopal Sahu and the other complainant is Devesh Singh. A firing incident took place in which one person from both sides has been hospitalized. We have registered these FIRs and arrested the named persons from both sides. One person from one side is Mr. Hasib, son of Ilahi Baksh, who has been arrested, and from the other side, one Tariq, son of Abdul, has been arrested. The 2 persons who are there in the hospital also are in custody, and in this we have taken action against the police officers concerned and the SHO of the Kotwali, Mr. Jagdish Yadav, and the Chowki in charge, Mr. Anand Kumar. They have both been placed under suspension.
All right, so Mr. Vijay Dev, they're giving us an idea of the counting at the moment, at least as far as 5 p.m. is concerned, 61%, and he's hoping it's going to rise to 63 or 64%. And also talking about the Mahoba incident, where at least 4 people, including Samajwadi Party candidate Sid Gopal Sahu's son, were injured after a clash between Samajwadi Party and BSP supporters broke out in Mahoba district. SP candidate Sid Gopal Sahu's son was injured in the attack. He was rushed to Kanpur for treatment. The victim's family has accused BSP candidate Aridaman Singh's son of carrying out the attack. 2 persons have been arrested so far, is what he was saying.
बसपा के प्रत्याशी अमरदन सिंह के बेटे नाती और उसके करीब 50 साथियों ने मिलकर, जितने भी बताया उन्होंने, साथियों ने मिलकर उन्होंने हमला कर दिया। गाड़ी में आगे पीछे ऑटो की घेर के उन्होंने गोली चलाई, जैसे मेरे बेटे साकेत साहू को, और एक हमारा तनवीर है जो जिलाध्यक्ष है, यूथ का जिलाध्यक्ष है, और एक कोई अज्ञात उसको गोली लगी।
आपस में उनके समर्थक एवं रिश्तेदार आपस में एक दूसरे के साथ झगड़ गए थे, आपस में फायरिंग भी किया, जिसमें 2 लोग इंजर्ड भी हैं, 3 लोग इंजर्ड हैं और उनका इलाज किया जा रहा है। FIR दर्ज हो गई है और विधिक कार्रवाई की जा रही है।
All right, let's go across to Aditi Fadnis, still with us in the studio. Aditi, very quickly, we were talking about, you know, how campaigning by this time, you kind of assess what the party is eventually expecting towards the end. You know, is that the sense we're getting this time around as well?
We've crossed the halfway mark, and we are heading towards 3/4 of the completion of the election. At this point, it does look as if the parties which were very triumphant in the beginning, the Bahujan Samaj Party and the Samajwadi Party Congress alliance, are flagging a little bit, and the Bharatiya Janata Party seems to be picking up steam somewhat. But there are still 3 more phases to go.
Yes.
So we have to see how the Purvanchal area responds to various appeals. So my feeling is that the entire political fraternity will now descend upon those constituencies which are going to the polls on the 27th, on the 4th and on the 8th of March, which will be the completion of the election.
All right, we'll leave it there for now. Aditi Fadnis, thanks so much, as always, for joining us and giving us an insight into the elections, especially what's going on in UP, where, of course, all political parties have stepped up their campaigning. Serious poll planks being have even given way to personal jibes and with rivals coining new acronyms to tar their opponent's image. Here's a report.
As one part of Uttar Pradesh went to vote, the other part witnessed several political rallies on Thursday. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed two election rallies in Bahraich and Basti. Responding to Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav's remarks last week, he said Akhilesh Yadav's decision to align with the Congress will prove counterproductive for him.
मैं हैरान हूं अखिलेश जी, मोदी पे हमला करो समझ सकता हूं, भाजपा पे हमला करो समझ सकता हूं, लेकिन बेचारे गधे के ऊपर आपको गधे का भी डर लगने लगता है क्या? और मैं हैरान हूं, ये आपकी जातिवादी मानसिकता, ऊंच नीच का भाव देखने वाली मानसिकता, ये पशु में भी ऊंच और नीच का भाव देखने लग गई.
Akhilesh Yadav addressed a rally in Balrampur. Using sharp words against BJP, he said they are using bizarre acronyms as they didn't have anything else to highlight. Addressing a rally at Ambedkar Nagar, BSP chief Mayawati called Amit Shah the biggest kasab of all. She was responding to an acronym that Amit Shah had used for all the non-BJP political parties in the state.
वो अपना काम बताएं, हम अपना काम बताएंगे, और हम तो कहते हैं कि हम पूछते हैं आपसे कि आपने कौन सा काम किया है, और चाहे हमसे पूछ लो कि हमने उत्तर प्रदेश में क्या काम किया है, कम से कम काम की बात हो, विकास की बात हो, कि लोगों का जीवन कैसे बदलेगा, उस खुशहाली की बात हो. ये उलझाने का काम मत करो. खिसियाता वही है जो लड़ाई हार जाता है.
चुनावी जनसभा में श्री अमित शाह ने जो अपने विरोधियों को कसाब की अर्थात आतंकियों की संज्ञा दी है, तो वे अति शर्मनाक, वे इनकी खुद की रही इस किस्म की घटिया सोच को ही पूर्ण रूप से दर्शाता है.
Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi also joined in, accusing the BJP of ignoring the farmers and youth of Uttar Pradesh. He also held centre responsible for poor administration and reminded the public of false promises made by the Prime Minister.
आप हिंदुस्तान के करोड़ों किसानों का कर्जा माफ कीजिए. हमने किया था. आपको याद होगा कि 70,000 करोड़ रुपए कांग्रेस पार्टी की सरकार ने कर्जा माफ किया, और जैसे हमने माफ किया वैसे ही आप माफ करिए.
With 3 more phases to go, the month-long electioneering that started off on a healthy note changed its color as campaign continued. Amit Shah, Venkaiah Naidu, Rajnath Singh and Anand Kumar also held rallies in other parts of the state. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, Gorakhpur votes in the 6th phase of voting in UP on the 4th of March, and to spread awareness about the need to vote, several methods are being implemented. A group of specially able children took it upon themselves to educate the voters of Gorakhpur. They turned out in large numbers to do their bit for the polling process.
नहीं, ये उनकी स्वयं की इच्छा थी कि उनको मतदाताओं को जागरूक करना है, और चूंकि गोरखपुर शहर में पिछले चुनाव में मतदान का प्रतिशत सबसे कम रहा है, इसीलिए इनका ये खुद का निर्णय था कि वो एक निकालना चाहते हैं रैली, और इस शहर के लोगों को ये संदेश देना चाहते हैं कि 4 मार्च को सारे काम छोड़ के सबसे पहले वोट दो. और आप जैसा सुन रहे होंगे, इनका नारा है कि पहले मतदान करो, उसके बाद जलपान करो. तो ये मतदाताओं को जागरूक करने के लिए हमारे दिव्यांगों की ओर से एक सराहनीय पहल है.
Well, as it is election season and we're talking about campaigning and different issues, the topic of Ayodhya has come back into focus. Although the locals are concerned with infrastructural issues, political statements regarding the Ram Temple continue trickling in. The BJP, in fact, repeated its promise to build the Ram Temple in its election manifesto. So let's see how much relevance the temple holds for the locals during these elections.
In Ayodhya, almost every election sees the Ram Temple issue cropping up. What concerns the local instead is the lack of infrastructure, cleanliness and unemployment.
भी आज तक चुनाव लड़े हैं, जितने भी नेता हुए हैं, लड़ते तो अयोध्या के नाम पर हैं, लेकिन अयोध्या के लिए कुछ भी नहीं करते हैं. मंदिर मस्जिद का मसला उठाते हैं, लेकिन उससे पहले अयोध्या का विकास होना चाहिए. अयोध्या के विकास के लिए यहाँ पे कोई कुछ भी नहीं कर रहा है. अयोध्या आज भी जैसे पहले सुनी थी, आज भी वैसे ही सुनी है.
क्या उम्मीद रखा जाए? कोई भी उम्मीद हम लोग लेकर नहीं चल रहे हैं फिलहाल वर्तमान में, जो भी हो, और केवल वादा रे वादा होता है और कुछ होता नहीं है विशेष.
Clearly for the locals, need for development trumps over religious issues. A religious hamlet with lakhs of visitors every year, Ayodhya has not made its mark as a popular tourist spot yet, owing to poor infrastructure. These are the scenes at River Saryu.
मैं भारत सरकार से ये निवेदन करना चाहता हूं और अपने उत्तर प्रदेश सरकार से निवेदन करता हूं कि कृपया अगर भारत को स्वच्छ अभियान चलाना है तो उसका दिखावा ना करके, उसका नाटक ना करके, उसको सही रूप में उसका उपयोग भी करना चाहिए.
The issues worrying the locals, however, do not seem to concern the politicians. Tej Narayan Pandey is the sitting MLA of Ayodhya. This year's BJP's Ved Prakash Gupta and BSP's Bazmi Siddiqui are in contention for the seat.
5 सालों में उत्तर प्रदेश के आदरणीय मुख्यमंत्री श्री अखिलेश यादव जी के नेतृत्व में हम लोगों ने अयोध्या को सुंदर बनाने का काम, पर्यटन के रूप में विकसित करने का काम, 15 करोड़ रुपए की लागत से एक बहुत बड़े भजन स्थल का शिलान्यास माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी ने किया.
हिंदू समाज की सबसे प्रमुख तीर्थ स्थानों में प्रथम स्थान है, तो इसलिए अयोध्या का विकास, अयोध्या के लोगों को, व्यापारियों को रोजगार, अयोध्या में पर्यटन और उसकी दृष्टि से वहाँ का विकास, इसी सब को लेकर मैं इस चुनाव में मुद्दा बना के उतर रहा हूँ.
Ayodhya votes in the 5th phase of elections on February 27th. Panchanan Mishra's report from Ayodhya for Rajya Sabha TV.
And now turning our focus to Manipur and a little town called Moreh at the Manipur-Myanmar border. Despite being a business hub, bad infrastructure and lack of provision of basic amenities have left many families wrecked there. And what is worse, insurgents have been successfully attracting the jobless youth. We're leaving you now with this RSTV ground report. Dry, dusty and dirty. That's Moreh for you, a little town that connects India to Myanmar. Once a thriving business town, it's now known among officials and criminals as a smuggler's haven. The name Moreh literally means I'm tired in Burmese, and that's the sense you get from each and everyone who we speak to regarding the election and their hopes from the government.
People in Moreh, we are living under tremendous hardship because of lack of infrastructure. We have no proper internet connectivity, we have no proper water supply, then as usual our roads are not good.
While Meiteis make up for the main part of the population, Kukis and Mizos too have a significant presence in Moreh. Despite that, no political party has tried to tap into the concerns of the people. Traders who've remained in the area since the business boom nearly 4 decades back claim their demands to develop the area as a modern city have fallen on deaf ears, irrespective of which government comes to power.
We are in border town, and just a kilometer ahead is Tamu town of Burma, and there are proper roads, and the administration is very fine to look at in the surface. So we would like something to happen in this side of India, which we can be proud of.
अभी पैसा के प्रॉब्लम, दूसरा प्रॉब्लम नहीं.
पैसा का प्रॉब्लम है. पैसा का क्या प्रॉब्लम?
और बच्चा का स्कूल के प्रॉब्लम.
काम का प्रॉब्लम?
काम का माजो नहीं आया अभी. दूसरा प्रॉब्लम नहीं.
Just 10 kilometers away on the Myanmar side is Tamu, far more developed and better equipped than Moreh. It is the gateway of Myanmar and ASEAN to India and the approach road of the India-Myanmar trilateral highway, which is why the border gates are rarely closed. But this has added to more reasons why Moreh remains a sore point in Manipur's security affairs. From bomb blasts to extortions, the villages around Moreh remain vulnerable to militant groups, and retaliations by security forces mean more trouble for the locals.
IM group claim that Hill district is a part of their sovereign land. So the people settled out here doesn't believe that. So they want every stakeholder should be put into confidence before signing any agreement with the government of India. That's what the people of Moreh want.
Being a border area under the Naga-dominated Chandel district, one big concern is also the Naga peace deal between the centre and the NSC and IM. Residents claim the last thing they need is a change in administration and perhaps further neglect by a totally different regime. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.